Bandit, healer, loving dad, fun, prankster? Can he be someone who's hiding a dark secret? If not, then how did two average salaried parents afford a $1 million home? Let's dig into the evidence and see if Bandit's past is hiding something more than just bones. Bandit digs up ancient artifacts, flies overseas for work, and has connections in places most people never step foot in. Meanwhile, Chili knows airport security inside and out. Together, they have the perfect setup for something bigger. And speaking of their home, did they inherit it, buy it cheap, or did Bandit unearth something too valuable to leave buried? And most importantly, is Bandit Healer really a smuggler, or is this just another bedtime story? Let's decide. Bluey's home is estimated at over $1.2 million. It stands in a high-demand Brisbane suburb, the kind of place where house prices don't just rise. Yet, Bandit and Chili, an archaeologist and an airport security officer, aren't exactly raking in fortune-level salaries. In Australia, archaeologists typically earn around $67,000 a year. Airport security officers, about the same. Combined, their income doesn't come close to justifying the kind of mortgage this house would demand. Even with perfect credit and years of saving, affording a property like this should be out of reach. So how did they do it? Well, archaeologists don't just dig up history, they find things, valuable things, ancient artifacts, rare fossils, items that, in the right hands, could fetch a price beyond imagination. Pair that with Chili's expertise in airport security, someone who knows what gets flagged, what passes through unnoticed, and the picture starts to shift. Could their wealth come from something hidden beneath the surface? Something that never made it onto an official record? Bandit Healer isn't just a dad who never goes to work. He's an archaeologist, a profession that takes him to excavation sites, ancient ruins, and areas rich in historical artifacts. That might sound harmless, but when you look closer, things start to seem unusual. For one, Bandit travels a lot. Episodes like Curry Quest and Archaeology show him jetting off for work, sometimes overseas. While it's normal for archaeologists to conduct digs, fans have questioned whether his frequent trips serve another purpose, moving valuable artifacts under the radar. After all, archaeologists don't just find history, they find treasure, ancient tools, fossils, cultural relics, items that, in the right hands, could sell for fortunes. Most discoveries go to museums or research institutions, but what if Bandit's finds weren't always officially recorded? Some fans suggest he operates as a middleman. Universities fund digs, mining companies disturb historical sites, and Bandit, he's the perfect go-between. He has the expertise to identify valuable items and the connections to make them disappear before they ever reach a museum catalog. And if Bandit needed to transport something without raising suspicion, who better to advise him? Chili here works in airport security, a respectable job, but one that comes with insider knowledge most people don't have. She knows exactly what gets flagged at customs, what security loopholes exist, and how smugglers attempt to slip past unnoticed. If Bandit were involved in moving rare artifacts, Chili would be the perfect accomplice. She could advise him on what items would attract suspicion, how to avoid detection, and the best ways to transport questionable goods without raising alarms. And let's not forget, airport security officers handle all kinds of unusual confiscations. From rare animal products to undeclared antiques, Chili could have access to items that mysteriously never make it to evidence lockers. Could some of these disappearances be more than just paperwork errors? While there's no direct evidence, fans can't help but wonder, is Chili just a hard-working mum, or is she using her position to help Bandit move valuable artifacts under the radar? Archaeologists typically work in structured teams under strict regulations, yet Bandit seems to operate with surprising freedom. He's always off on another expedition, often in areas rich with historical treasures. These locations, the perfect places to stumble upon or discreetly acquire valuable artifacts. But here's the real question: what happens to the things he finds? The show never explicitly states where Bandit's discoveries end up. Museums? private collectors, or do they bypass official channels altogether? If Bandit was smuggling rare artifacts, these overseas trips would be the perfect cover. A few lost pieces here and there, some creative paperwork, and suddenly his million-dollar home starts to make a lot more sense. Speaking of that, Bandit and Chili love a good joke, but could their playful banter be hiding something more sinister? Take a closer look at some of their conversations. Bandit often uses metaphors about digging, finding treasures, and keeping things under wraps. Chili, on the other hand, frequently references travel, security, and things getting through unnoticed. To most viewers, it's just normal parenting talk. But if you listen with a different perspective, the meaning shifts. In one episode, Bandit casually mentions having to get something past security, a harmless joke, or a slip-up revealing his real expertise. Another time, Chili reminds Bandit to be extra careful on his next trip. About what exactly? It's not just the words, it's the tone, the glances, the knowing smiles. Could these be secret signals cleverly woven into family conversations? If so, it's a genius way to discuss illegal activities right under everyone's noses. So, are Bandit and Chili just a fun-loving couple with quirky conversations? Or are they masterminds, using innocent dialogue as a smuggler's code? Fans have noticed they seem to know a little too much about certain things, especially when it comes to security, strategy, and high-level problem-solving. Then, there's their collection of unusual gadgets. From high-tech digging tools to oddly specific household items, some fans suspect these could be repurposed smuggling equipment. Even their seemingly innocent board games involve an unexpected level of strategy and deception. Are these just harmless quirks or signs of something deeper? The clues are there. You just have to know where to look. If Bandit and Chili really are involved in something shady, one question remains: why? The answer might be simple: they're kids. Bluey and Bingo live in a million-dollar home, attend top-tier schools, and have access to experiences beyond what two average salaried parents could typically provide. Could Bandit and Chili be doing whatever it takes to secure their daughters' futures? Smuggling artifacts or bypassing airport security would be risky, but if their goal is to give Bluey and Bingo the best life possible, it might explain everything. A luxurious home, a stable lifestyle, and endless opportunities. If it all comes from a hidden source, is it worth the risk? This theory adds a layer of emotional depth. Bandit and Chili aren't just thrill seekers or criminals, they're parents who will stop at nothing to ensure their kids never struggle. It's the ultimate sacrifice, bending the rules to build a life where their children never have to. Of course, this remains just speculation, but if true, it would make Bandit and Chili not just loving parents, but ones willing to do anything for their family. In the episode The Creek, Bandit reminisces about playing in the area as a child, hinting that he grew up nearby. This small detail raises an interesting possibility. What if the Healer family home wasn't bought at market price, but inherited? Sydney's property market is notoriously expensive, making it nearly impossible for an archaeologist and an airport security officer to afford a $1.2 million house on their own. However, if the home had been in the family for generations, it would explain how they live in such a prime location without the financial burden of a massive mortgage. Some fans speculate that Bandit's parents or grandparents may have owned the property, allowing him to raise his own family there without the usual housing costs. This would also explain why Bandit seems so comfortable in the area, knowing all the hidden spots from his childhood. If true, it would debunk the smuggling theory, at least when it comes to how they afford their home. Throughout Bluey, Bandit and Chili are seen making various home repairs, from fixing the toilet to patching up the roof. This suggests that their house might not have always been the pristine dream home fans see today. Instead of purchasing a $1 million property outright, the Healers may have bought a rundown house for a lower price and slowly renovated it over time. Given Bandit's hands-on nature and Chili's practical mindset, it's easy to imagine them tackling projects themselves to save money. Older homes in desirable areas can sell for much less. if they need major repairs. If Bandit and Chili had invested in a fixer-upper years ago, they could have built equity while keeping costs manageable. This theory aligns with their modest lifestyle and explains how they can afford to live in an expensive neighborhood without resorting to smuggling rare artifacts. And when you look at Bandit's brother, Stripe, he is noticeably wealthier than the Gila family. He owns a larger house, drives a nicer car, and seems to have a more comfortable lifestyle. This has led some fans to believe that Stripe may be financially supporting Bandit and Chili in some way. It's possible that Stripe, being a successful businessman, helps out his brother when needed. Maybe he contributed to their home purchase or assisted with expenses behind the scenes. Another popular theory, Stripe might have won the lottery. His sudden wealth and easygoing attitude suggest he may have come into money unexpectedly. If that's the case, it could explain why Bandit and Chili don't stress over finances. They have family support to fall back on, and instead of running a smuggling operation, Bandit may have earned his wealth in a more legitimate way by selling rare artifacts to museums. As an archaeologist, Bandit has access to historical sites and valuable discoveries. If he uncovered rare items early in his career, he could have legally sold them to institutions for a significant sum. This would explain how he and Chili afford their home and comfortable lifestyle without any shady dealings. Much like Indiana Jones, Bandit may have balanced academic work with uncovering treasures, and while not a smuggler, he could still have profited from his expertise, just in a more lawful way. So, is Bandit hiding a dark secret, or is this just another wild fan theory? One thing's for sure, whether he's a criminal mastermind or just a really lucky dad, Bandit remains one of TV's coolest cartoon parents. What do you think? Drop your take in the comments below.